Is homework proving to be a nightly battle? Maybe you're spending 2 hours and they still haven't started. They've had to sharpen pencils, go to the toilet, find a jumper, everything except doing their homework. In this video, I'm going to explain why homework is so difficult for our children with ADHD, what we could do to help them, and how to deal with it if that fails too. My name is Jennifer, I'm an ADHD specialist. I have ADHD myself and a parent to a neurodivergent child, so I've been exactly here with these homework struggles. And I also specialise in neurodiversity in the workplace. I'm qualified neurodiversity consultant. So when it comes to homework, it's important that we understand what the struggles are for our children with ADHD. And it could be as simple as the setup. It could be as simple as if we're trying to get a child to do their homework at the kitchen table, where there's smells from dinner, there's noise going on around, there's conversations, maybe their younger siblings are still playing. All of these things are going on around them, making it really hard to concentrate and focus on their homework. We're often told this is a good place for children to do homework because then we can potter around and get dinner done whilst they're doing it, look over their shoulder as and when they need to. But for our children with ADHD, it could be an absolute disaster. And then on top of that is their executive function challenges. And homework puts a lot of pressure on executive function. Firstly, there's, well, what homework have I even got to do? When's it due in? What does that actually mean in terms of timings? Today's Tuesday, it's got to be in Monday. What does that really mean? Then there's the, have I got the right books? Have I got the right login? Have I got my pen? And then there's the things I want to switch off. So the dog's barking, my siblings are playing. Actually, there's a TV over there that's a lot more appealing. All of these things are fighting for our children inside. We can't see this. We can't see these challenges. But these are all of the steps they're having to overcome before they've even got to the point of starting homework. So it's no wonder they're getting up and going to the toilet or finding a reason to find their pen, and actually once they've gone looking for the pen, they've now forgotten what they're looking for, and actually they've just found this toy that's much more appealing. All of these challenges are coming into the mix, and that's where, again, the right setup could really help to reduce the executive function challenges that our children have got and make homework a lot easier. And this is why willpower and therefore consequences make no difference at all. We have to make sure that we're matching the challenges with the solutions, and expecting just try harder, this will be your reward or this will be your consequence if you don't, is unlikely to work. And you've probably already tried that if you've got to this video. So what does work? Because that's what you're all here for. What really can help? Well, firstly, we need to create a visual cue for our children with regards to homework. So that is a homework zone. It's somewhere in the house where they know that is the place I do homework. And that then acts in two parts. It solves solution one and solution two. So the first point is that we put this in a location where our child is not going to be distracted. So it could be facing the wall for certain children. Some children will find that doing homework is easier if they can see, say, TV, but it's TV that they've watched 100 times before. So it can just be on quietly in the background, in which case the homework station should be relevant to a place where they can sit and watch the TV. You know your child, that location needs to be somewhere where they're not going to be distracted. If they need your support, then it needs to be somewhere where you can be with them to support them, or where they can call for you easily. Again, knowing your child is really important. And then it's making sure that we're set up so that everything that's needed is there. So there's not these extra hurdles of, where's my book, or where's a pencil? Oh, well, now I need a ruler. Oh, because they're all here. Literally, I need a pencil. Great. I need a ruler. Great. Grab it. If your child likes a bit of an aesthetic, they want their homework station to look nice, to feel good, to go and work there. I know when I'm working for the day, that really helps me. Then, like, simple things we can do, like a packet of coloured highlighters, things we can, a nice pencil pot, one that suits your child rather than the sort of one that I'd like on my desk maybe. but something that makes them feel good about this space and feel like, actually, I want to be in this space, can make a huge difference. And of course, nowadays, a lot of homework uses devices. So it may well be that we're not just thinking about pens and pencils, but we're also thinking about their devices. So thinking about, have we got all their logins set up? Do we have their passwords like typed up and stuck down onto the desk so they're not going to be losing those? Do we have our apps set up so they're in groups, which means that the entertainment group, so the one with YouTube in or TikTok if they're a bit older maybe, is somewhere separate and perhaps on the second screen rather than the first home screen, whilst the homework app is in a little homework group. So that reduces the possibility that we're going to click accidentally on YouTube or TikTok when we should be clicking on the homework app. I mean, I certainly know I do. I go in to check my diary and the amount of times I've then ended up on TikTok. So it's going to be hard for our children if it's hard for those of us who are adults. And often there's different logins, different subjects might have different logins. So having them grouped together, set up so that your child has everything they need when they need it is really important. And then once we've got the setup right, so we've set them up for success, we've given them everything they need to be able to do their homework well. The next bit is looking at, well, when do they do their homework? And this is going to vary child to child. So does your child need to decompress when they get home from school before they get into homework? So his homework maybe a little bit later, maybe an after dinner thing. Or do they need to not decompress? They go straight into homework. Let's get homework over and done with, and then we can decompress. Different children will need different things. And of course, it could vary by age as well. So do bear that in mind, because if you've got sort of 5 and 6-year-old, which are often being expected to do homework these days, the expectations and the needs are going to be really different to a 13, 14-year-old or even going into GCSE. So really thinking about that, thinking about when they do their homework, when's best for them. And bear in mind, by the evening, they are exhausted. They have done a full day of school. And a full day of school is a full day of learning new things, masking, being around people, having to think about social skills. There's a lot going on for a child when they're at school, plus teenage hormones and all the other things that can be going on as well. At the end of the day can be really exhausting. Think about trying to take your own work home at the end of the day. It can be really hard. So think about that timing. When works best? Is it straight away after dinner, a bit later? What works best? And then think about, do we set up to have breaks? Or is breaks a disaster? Because actually if we have a break, getting back into homework is going to be an absolute nightmare. So some people do like the sort of timers where it's like, oh, well, we'll set a 20-minute timer or age-appropriate length, 20-minute timer. You do 20 minutes of homework. And actually often now we see teachers are saying the homework is 20 minutes. If it takes longer than 20 minutes, you just stop it at 20 minutes and hand it in as it is. And then the teacher can see what's been achieved in 20 minutes. Just write a note on it if you need to as a parent. But that can be really helpful because a child can see the time, especially if you've got a visual timer. Making time visual for someone with ADHD, really important. Have that visual timer, maybe it's 20 minutes and then you switch to your next subject or that's it, homework done. Maybe it's 20 minutes and have a movement break and then come back to it. But again, depends on the child. Some will need that movement break, some won't. On that basis, of course, movement whilst doing the homework can also be really helpful. So having your fidgets available. So having a basket of fidgets, a bit like I've got one here behind me, having a fidgets on the table. So especially if I'll watch this video and then answer some questions on it, I'm going to want to sit and do some fidgeting whilst I'm watching my video. So making sure you've got that available. Maybe sitting on a yoga ball rather than a desk chair, or for some children a wobble cushion can be really helpful because that helps with the movement, or even like a balance board or something under your feet so you can move your feet. I'm moving my feet and I've just realised they're out of shot. So you can move your feet whilst you're doing your homework. The same with snacks. It might be better to have a snack before doing homework. Remember, this is the end of the day. Your child is exhausted. It's been a long time since lunchtime. So do they need a snack before they do their homework? A snack whilst they've got their homework. So a pot of biscuits, crackers, something that's got a nice crunch to it for some children can be really, really helpful. We're making sure that they've got enough to eat and drink whilst doing their homework or before it. These shouldn't be given as rewards. And that's really important when we're talking about our children with ADHD. It might be, Once you've done your homework, then you can have your snack as a reward, might be thought to be a good idea. Or once you've done your homework, then you can get out in the garden and play, so you can get some movement. But actually, if these things help our children to focus, then don't use them as rewards. They are the tools that they need to be able to do their homework. And then we also need a visual signal that our homework is done. So when we were younger, it was always in an exercise book. Yeah, shut my book, done. Nice. And I've done that homework, right? I can do this, right? Oh, shut the book, it's on the pile. Nice. You don't get quite the same feeling when you're doing your homework on a device. Shutting the app down doesn't necessarily have the same sort of effect. And as I said earlier, rewards often don't work because the reward's got to be big enough. But also just that feeling, oh, I'm done. I can get up and walk away and I can now do whatever I want. That feeling is often rewarding enough not to need specific other rewards. But again, you know your child. Provide them what they need to support them. But often with ADHD, it's not about needing these things as a reward, but about needing these things to give us that boost in order to get the homework done. Now, the fact you're watching this means you've probably tried most things already. So if you've tried a lot of other things, you've also tried these things, got your setup right, tried to work out your timings and got all of those things right, and they're still not doing their homework, then we need to look at the work itself. Is the work too hard? Are they being set homework that they're not actually able to do? Have a conversation with the teacher. What are they doing in class? Would this work be considered too hard for them in class to do? Would they find it challenging in class? Or is it too hard because it's the end of the day and they're just exhausted? They've already burnt themselves out from everything they've done all day. Another thing to consider is this a bit of a power struggle? Are they seeking autonomy? So are you trying to work out the timings and perhaps saying, do your homework straight away when you get home from school? You do the homework on the day it's been set, not the day it's before it's due in. Are you dictating this to them, or are you allowing them to work it out for themselves? And again, age is going to vary by age as to what's appropriate and what support a child might need or how this might actually look. But it might be that we set the homework station up. Perhaps we give them a whiteboard so they can make a note of which homework's been set. So at least they know, right, history was set today, that's due in next Tuesday. But they've got it set up there so they can got this visual that they can see. And then they work out for themselves when they're going to do it. So it may be that one day they get home from school and they're like, yeah, I'm burning with energy and I've got this. Actually, I'm quite excited. This piece of homework's a bit interesting. I'll do that. And then another time it might be, no, I'm actually exhausted. I'm just going to chill for a bit and maybe I'll do my homework tomorrow night. You may find there's not a consistency in the way they do their homework, but actually if you've given them all of the right setup and then given them the autonomy, then they are in the best place to succeed, and actually then they're learning a lot of skills that they need for life in terms of how they manage workloads and how they can become a self-starter, self-motivation, all of those brilliant things. If, however, your child is still struggling after all of these things have been tried, it may be time to recognise that homework is simply too much. There is no evidence that suggests that homework is essential to our children's success in education, and certainly not if they're not in a position to actually be able to learn. Children with ADHD often have co-occurring conditions as well, so they're often not just managing ADHD, but they are working harder than neurotypical children in school. They are working harder to manage their impulsivity, manage their need to move, to think about the social skills. There's a lot of working memory expected in school where you're supposed to remember instructions, remember what's being said to you to be able to do the next thing. There is a lot that our children are dealing with. And for 6 hours as well, it's a long time. It may just be that the end of the day is not the right time, that even if they would be capable of doing that work at 9 a.m. in school, they are not capable of doing it at 4 p.m. when they get home from school. And it may be that they need to decompress. It may be that they just need the entire evening to decompress from the school day. And in which case, that's where we start to advocate for our children or support them to advocate for themselves to be put on homework exemption lists. That is a reasonable adjustment that can be made and should be made where our children are really struggling. There's no point us having those battles at home. Nobody is learning or benefiting from those. If you need my help to set up a homework station, or you want to talk through challenges you're experiencing, look in the description below for details of how you can work with me. Of course, check out my other videos on supporting your children with ADHD, and I look forward to seeing you next week.